Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to another video. So I am late on this. However, it seemed that it all worked out in our favor because there was an interview put out yesterday with the Ruby Rose Simp. But before we get into that, let's just give a quick rundown for anybody that has missed out on everything. The video vixen turned hip-hop artist Ruby Rose has an OnlyFans. A guy has been subbed to the OnlyFans for about a month and dropped around $60,000. That is the high and low of it very fast. There was an update that Ruby Rose put out, get your face tatted so I know it's real, which showcases a text thread with Brandon, weird OnlyFans guy, that shows message after message after message. I'm talking paragraphs. I haven't even read those messages myself. That was supposed to be the video after this one, but I didn't get around to it, so we're just going to move past it to this. But it's a very long text thread of supposedly the guy in question just simping out, I sent you money, just doing a whole bunch of different stuff, personality switching left and right. I love you, I just want to make sure my kitten's okay. I think that's the only thing I may have seen from it. And then also getting a portrait of her face on his the back of his calf. Now fast forward, Adam 22 from No Jumper has done a 45-minute interview with the guy, and now let's get to detailing the entire experience and his thoughts on everything. So apparently the guy's name is Lamar. He joined the military, then afterwards he went to college and he did set design for a few years. Then he ran a waffle truck for a while. He worked at a tattoo shop while managing another tattoo artist, and he had a falling out with a big tattoo artist in California named Romeo Lacosta. He was on Drama Alert a couple years back for getting caught up in, you know, the messaging young girl stuff via Instagram and hanging out, everything that these dudes get caught up for. He worked underneath him, and he details that entire experience as well in the interview. He says he doesn't need to make much money, he's just getting by. He's done a lot of odd jobs. When Adam asked him did he have any friends that are in the adult industry, he says he has a lot of friends in the adult industry. He himself has an OnlyFans account, and meeting adult stars has messed up porn consumption for him because he doesn't want to squeeze tip to him. He's like, oh, okay, she's really cool. I think they keep mentioning a woman by the name of Gina Valentina. I'm not gonna lie to you, I don't know who that is, but I had to look a picture of her up. But Gina Valentina, he's like, oh yeah, she's a very nice girl, so I don't want to watch vids of her. And then Adam, you know what Adam's gonna do, like, I mean, you know, I've met people and still hit the dickhead to him. I mean, it's not that weird, right? And then he goes on to state that he's a different type of guy. He's not a weirdo how the internet paints him to be. He sarcastically says this, he loves Ruby Rose and that's his queen. And he has every picture in her OnlyFans account that he supposedly has, in a sarcastic tone. Because there is a lot of, I can't gauge where this guy is at. Because at the beginning of the interview, he says he has an account. Then when he says the Ruby Rose, like, I have every picture on my supposed OnlyFans account, he's stating that that's not him and he doesn't have an OnlyFans account, right? So whatever, let's continue. He says he didn't buy anything from Ruby's account. He got in a situation where somehow Ruby Rose's team reached out to him and paid him to take a picture with Ruby, so he went and met her the next day. And then he wakes up to this he's the OnlyFans top spender story that really blew up. And the team, as it was blowing up, was letting him know that, hey, he was going to be a subscriber on her OnlyFans or something like that. I know if you're listening to this and you're like, man, this is worded weirdly, this is how it is literally said in the interview. One of the quotes he says about the top spender, he says, knew there was this OnlyFans and like the person's the top spender, but I didn't know the story was going to come out to be bigger than what the story is now.
But nah, I didn't purchase none of her OnlyFans content.
Ruby Rose.
Yeah.
Okay. So this was all a hoax?
I got in the situation where I just went and took a picture with Ruby Rose, right? Like,
okay.
I got paid for it. I didn't know exactly what it was for. You know, I think it was like a promo thing or something or whatever the fuck it was, you know? And I met up with her. I take this picture. Next day, I'm like the fucking OnlyFans top spender. I knew there was like some kind of thing where there was like, had to do with the OnlyFans top spender shit, but I didn't know what the fuck was going on. So they made it look like I was her top spender, you know?
So they didn't fill you in on this beforehand? They didn't say, hey, we have this big idea. This is what we're going to do.
So the idea was like, they were like, we're going to use your, I mean, they kind of let me know that I was going to be like this, like one of her like subscribers, I guess, on OnlyFans or something like that, right? I was like, oh, okay, that sounds cool. You know, I didn't know it was going to blow up to this big, huge story. You know, they said it was going to be big. And then you know, I was like, okay, cool. This is kind of cool, whatever the fuck. I was like, when's money going to start coming in? You know, like I was like.
Adam asked him if the 60,000 account was real. He says it's a real account, but it's not him. And then somehow when he was linked with Ruby Rose's team, he is the one that suggested that he gets a tattoo of Ruby on him. He thought it was just going to be a name and not a portrait. He didn't know about the narrative of him supposedly being a crypto whale, and her team put that out. Adam asked if he was actually on True Life, I'm a porn addict. He says no, and then he's like, does that really look like me?
I'm the boss to surpass Big Boss himself. Solid Snake. No, that is not Solid Snake.
As a person that doesn't know this guy, it does. It does. I'm not gonna lie to y'all. It does. That looks just like that nigga to me. And he keeps reiterating that he knew this story was gonna happen, and he had an idea of it when he was linking with Ruby. He just didn't realize it was going to get this big. It almost feels like when I was watching this, a lot of this comes back to the fact that he's a little freaked out that people know he may or may not have money. That's kind of what I was picking up when I was watching this. And then he says, after I got the tattoo, I'm supposedly some stalker guy and very obsessive named Brandon. And the situation in its entirety is making his anxiety go up. He doesn't like the narrative being pushed that he's a Bitcoin billionaire, a porn addict, or that he loves Ruby Rose so much that he would get a tattoo of her. Which he does have a Ruby Rose tattoo. Okay, but whatever. Let's keep going. So at this point, Adam is like having a big brain moment of how him and Lena the Plug had met with a corporate head at OnlyFans, and the day the original story broke, and Adam is talking to the corporate guy, and the corporate guy looks at Adam with a scrunched up face and says that situation isn't real, which then Adam knows that, okay, these people are all being fooled. And Adam even going as far as to say he felt like a dummy because even he believed it for a moment, until the corporate guy told him that no, it was fake.
Okay. I want to speak to all the people out there who are looking at what you've just said and they're feeling kind of dumb because they're thinking, holy shit, I can't believe I got fooled. Nothing is ever real on the internet anymore. I can't believe that I got tricked. I was in the same exact boat. There was a guy, I won't say his name, but he's very, very high up at OnlyFans. Like he works in OnlyFans corporate. And he was here. Me and Lena were doing a meeting with him talking about some stuff OnlyFans related. And we obviously ended up bringing up your situation because it came out like that day. And the guy kind of rolls his eyes at me and he's like, yeah, that shit's not real. And I immediately felt the same way that everybody at home feels, which is I felt like a fucking dummy for falling for it. And even earlier that day, I had said to Lena, I'm like, you know how easy this would be for us to one up, right? All we got to do is find some guy who looks a little off and then make a fake screenshot that says that he spent $150,000 or $200,000, and we could kind of like leapfrog the news cycle and replace Lamar with some other guy and say, oh, look how much this guy. And, you know, it's like there's a constant quest to like fake shit to get attention in terms of OnlyFans. So I guess on one hand, we shouldn't be surprised. But on the other hand, damn, Ruby Rose.
Which when the conversation continues, Lamar states that Ruby's team asked him how much he wanted at first for getting the tattoo on him. He said anywhere from 15 to 20K. Then he went on to say when he met her, she was cool. He knows her team is into this thing, and they hung out for 2 or 3 hours. They smoked and he freestyled for her. Adam then sort of goes into a tangent about red pill grifters to push their assumptions through content based on leaked text messages, that the world is full of suckers being taken advantage of by these OnlyFans girls. And then his exact quote is basically, fulfill the previous beliefs that people already held and you were just sort of like the perfect stand-in. And because we know all these guys are spending money on OnlyFans girls, but we don't necessarily get to see them. So essentially this guy right here is the scapegoat. He then goes on to say, Lamar that is, that he never spent $1 on OnlyFans till this day, and he only spent $1 outside the initial $1 card charge to confirm that his credit card is real. The experience hasn't been bad. His friends told him that they know that he's not this type of person that he's being perceived as, but the Bitcoin billionaire stuff has him cautious of going out. But when he did go out, he said it was normal. A couple people asked him if he knew Ruby Rose, and that was about it. The situation got so big in his life that even some of his family reached out to him. he mentions his aunt calling him and asking, did he really spend $62,000 on a girl? And he's like, no, auntie, it's more like 76K now. The money's just going up. He states that the money's going up and he was playing along with the story.
Even my aunt, she hit me up saying, you're spending $62,000 on this girl. And I have it on like DM and stuff. And I was like, no, I've spent more like 76,000 now because I knew the money was going up and shit. So I've been playing the story, you know, playing along with it. Because I knew like I can't really tell anyone, you know?
And that's what I'm telling you. If you take time out of this, you should just watch like 5 to 10 minutes. I'm not going to suggest you watch the whole thing just to kind of hear the way he presents himself in an interview, because it just makes you scratch your head. Like, it doesn't make sense. It's like, okay, you never spent $1, but then you're telling your aunt who's calling you and playing up the joke to your aunt. Like, if your aunt doesn't really understand how this internet thing works, because the guy looks older than me, so I'm assuming his aunt is older than him, so I'm going to go ahead and further assume that she probably really ain't on the internet shit like that. Because you got to remember, if something gets a couple million views on the internet thing, whether it's Twitter or Facebook, you can really miss that. But when something's getting like 150, 160 million, that's when it's like you may have your friend, or you may see the person that's not really tapped into that side of things, may ask the person that is more tapped in on the internet side of things, like, hey, yo, is this real or is this BS? And I don't know what the view count is now on the original tweet, but when I made my video, I think it was 123 million. And then the update tweet that we never got around to making the video about, I want to say that one was at 80 million. So who really knows how big it is now? I'm not gonna go check at this very moment, but the point I'm making is, if your aunt is so disconnected from this, why play up the story for her? Who knows? Let's continue. He then goes on to say that there was no NDA or contract, and what made him come clean is when he reached out to the team after he decided this entire thing wasn't benefiting him anymore, and a lot of podcasts are hitting him up. Rubi's team told him to let it die down for a bit before doing podcasts. However, since he doesn't have any contracts, he decided, hey, since it's not benefiting me anymore, I'm just going to go ahead and do these anyway. It's not like these guys are going to sue me. The text messages that he is saying aren't him. He hasn't read them at all. He just watched a YouTube video of somebody reading them before he went to do the No Jumper interview. Adam then starts getting into like the little more degenerate side, asking him what's his porn diet like. Is he going to be shooting content? He says he didn't really go into the diet too much, if I remember correctly, but then he said a lot of girls are hitting him up to shoot content, and he starts to gesture to pull his phone out of his pocket like he's gonna read something. He slowly puts it back in his pocket.
You said you never spend money on OnlyFans. Are you out here getting free content?
Well, now I am. I mean, Twitter's awesome, you know? Like, I got all these girls that want to shoot content, but if the story... You know,
wait, really? Anybody well known?
There might be, yeah, possibly.
Then Adam goes as far as to ask him how big his meat is, and I quote, "You got a hog on you or nah?" All right, man. It's like he asking the dude, is he packing lumber? Do he got a hammer? Do you got a hog? It's like, all right. So they go back and forth about that, foreign politics and all of that for a bit. Then Lamar goes on to say he keeps an open schedule and he's a professional, nice guy. But when asked about being married or having a girlfriend, he says he works too much and he's focusing on paying bills. That's when Adam like pauses and is like, well, which is it? Are you an open schedule? Or are you working a lot and you got to focus on the bills? A big thing though that he states over this interview, and I have it written down here, I think I've said it like 3 times now, is the Bitcoin and the crypto. He's like, I don't have the amount they make it seem like I have off crypto. He mentions that several times. And then the last thing that Adam asked him is like, yo, how many times are you hitting that dickhead a week? He said once, but he's fucking more throughout the week than anything, so he doesn't have time to jack off. All right, I'm not gonna lie, after watching the interview, my thoughts, I'm confused. Like, I honestly believe that this is the guy from the, unless there is another nigga that's gonna pop up here in about 6 or 7 months, which, let's keep it a beam. This internet thing, this story got about another 5-6 days before we moving on to the next thing, and this is just gonna be like that, hey, remember 6 months ago, that weirdo? And that's how people are gonna remember this, right? Unless a Brandon pops up in 5 or 6 that looked like he was tatted up at the end of 2009, like he had tats, also wearing the same type of style porn shirts, both wearing glasses. One sort of looks like the other dude, but the beard grown out and aged a little bit. Unless there's a dude that's gonna pop up It's like, nah, that's me. I'm gonna be honest, man. I'm really looking around the room and I'm scratching my head because I don't believe a lot of this interview. Like, a lot of this interview feels like Adam 22 running a puff piece, because since that Jason Love shit happened, I don't know if Adam's in a weird place, but I feel like it has put him in overdrive with a lot of stuff. It's almost like this isn't as weird as you guys are making it to be. And this entire interview came across as that. Like, yo, they're trying to make this weirder than what it really is. It's not that weird. And him tying in what he's had to deal with this year sort of makes me feel like, okay, that's really what this is, and that's how it's coming across to me. Because again, all throughout the interview, when you're listening to Lamar, I'm just gonna keep putting, y'all can't see me, but I'm just putting it in air quotes, but all throughout the interview, when you're listening to Lamar detail this experience, it's like so 1 foot in, 1 foot out. Like, you know, it's like, oh yeah, I guess I have an OnlyFans account now where I just have every photo. Like, yeah, I got some money in crypto, but not how they're making it seem. I never used OnlyFans before, but I have my credit card linked to it and they hit me for $1 just so I could get like tapped in, but I never dropped any paper on it. But I think I am gonna start creating some content now and chicks are hitting me up. It's a really interesting interview overall. Like, it's head scratching. It just makes me, you know how when you watch certain things, you get one side of the story, then you get the other side, and it's kind of like, okay, I can see how this story went and how maybe the person got dogpiled, and now we're getting this other side of it. So I can see how it went that way. Like, everybody came to that conclusion. I don't feel that at all when I watch this. I don't feel that at all when I watch this. So that's my thoughts on it. If you've watched it, let me know your thoughts down below. That's the update, really. This guy got set up by Ruby Rose's team, I guess. They just happened to reach out to him, pay him to take a picture with her, which then at that point he suggests of getting a Ruby Rose tattoo on him, which he goes through with, and they're supposed to pay him 15 to 20K for the tattoo. But now, because it's not benefiting him and he's looking a little too crazy, which he seems to focus more on the crypto and how people may view his supposed wealth than the issue at hand of everything else. Like, that was the underlying fear that seemed to come off of him in the interview to me. So I got an update, right? Because I'm sitting here and I'm actually editing this right now, and I started thinking, I'm like, man, is this Brandon and Lamar guy the same person? Because this is a crazy coincidence, right? How much of this is real? How much of this is not? So I went and I pulled up Lamar's Twitter. I scrolled to the very bottom, right? Because the Twitter, it's like all the accounts have been scrubbed, but you know the likes be giving niggas up on the Twitter side of things. So he tried to make it seem like, again, you know, I never spend $1 on OnlyFans. Bro, if you go down to the bottom of the dude's Twitter, there's a woman, Maya Baiju, or whatever how you say this last name, from 2019. He was liking them up, bro. He was liking them up in 2019. And then, why is this a big thing? Because he mentions him and Romeo Lacoste having a falling out a couple years back. And you see there's posts where people are cracking on Romeo Lacoste, like, hey man, get that dude up out of here. I guess him and Romeo Lacoste really, their falling out was pretty big. He states that in the interview as well. So now I'm looking at that, I'm like, all right, this nigga never dropped $1, but he up here doing this back in the 2019. I'm just saying, like, I don't know, you know, could be nothing, could be something. And the most annoying part of this, as I'm sitting here, this is the most insane part. Because now I'm like re-looking at the photos of him again, right? I'm trying to find a photo with this dude's head turned to both sides to see if he has a tattoo on his neck. And you would think I'm trying to hack into the CIA. This dude's beard is not even like an insanely large beard. It's not even an extremely unkempt. But there is like, I'm trying to get this dude to turn his head so I can see if his neck has a tattoo, because it looks like there's a tattoo on one side of his neck, and the Brandon guy obviously has a tattoo on one side of the neck too. But I don't know, I just thought that'd be an interesting tidbit to point out, because this nigga in the interview kind of like, yeah, you know, the porn star is cool and all that, but I ain't on it like that. That's how I took the interview. Like, I ain't on it like that, but since I gotta wear this hat now, shit, I guess I get on it to prove a point. Man, this dude was on that back in the day, man. But I don't know, I look forward to reading your guys' comments as always. I appreciate you for taking time out of your day to watch my YouTube channel. It's always nice, man. I will probably be coming back tomorrow, or I might double upload today. I don't know, man. Keep your eyes out on the channel. Y'all might see something else here in a bit. No promises though. Y'all know how I get sometimes, but hey, any consistency is better than no consistency. So that being said, I'll catch you guys on the next one. Everybody have a great day, and I'll talk to you guys soon.